Good morning all and welcome back to the channel. Oh, what a glorious day for the next van conversion video. Now I know it's been a while since I last dropped a van conversion video, and there has only been 2 so far. So it's been a while getting to number 3, but there has been a very good reason why we've delayed in releasing the videos or delayed in doing the full conversions. The reason being is Rose and I, because we decided we were going to go out and start using the van from the get-go, even before it was converted, thought it was actually a good opportunity for us to be able to get out and test some ideas for real, rather than just measuring up and going with it and fitting it. So for example, just the placing of the bed itself has been quite controversial. You know, many people would say have the bed going across the van, so you're laying across the width phase like this. I was a little skeptical about that to start with because I wasn't sure that the width was enough, and you know, we're going to eventually be living in this full time, so we want to make sure that sleeping definitely is one of those things that's really comfortable. So yeah, someone suggested that we actually lay the opposite way. Being as it is a long wheelbase van, we have got a bit of extra length to play around with, and I was really thinking about that to start with, and we have got the extra length. But you know, that space in a small van, you know, it might be a high top long wheelbase, but it's not a house, and you know, and that space soon gets eaten up. So again, I was umming and ahhing. We'd also been told to have your bed raised 1 metre off the ground if you wanted to store things like bikes, which is something that we would like to get to at some point, so that we can park off, maybe have an e-bike each or something. So that, you know, it's not just hiking. If we want to go out and do some long distances, we might want an e-bike where it can get us even further into the countryside and then make it back to the van. So yeah, there were many ideas bouncing around and things we wanted to try out. So we started with the bed, and I put up this, don't worry about the build, this is only temporary. This isn't actually even how the bed's going to be built going forward, but yeah, had a basic bed frame. These panels here were just to give us an idea of the area of the garage space, and also just to give a bit of support to the frame while it is only a temporary fixing. First lesson learned, really, big first lesson learned. 1 metre high, it's just not practical. Not in our eyes, not for the build that we want anyway. We do want a good garage space. I mean, along one side we are going to have our power units. We're going to go with, we are going to have a solar setup in here, but we're not going to go with the conventional, all the parts of a solar system. We are just going to buy a big storage power station that's mobile, that we can put in and take back out as well. We'll obviously have the solar panels eventually fitted to the ceiling, to the roof rather. So yeah, we will have power on this side, and my thinking is behind the other side we will have a water storage tank, one of the over wheel arch storage tanks for the fresh water, and then underneath storage for the wastewater. So you know, this is basically going to be our storage. So yeah, 1 metre high just isn't practical, not for potentially storing bikes in there sometimes. I think going forward, what I'm going to do is I'm going to fit a rack that I can put on and take off at the back of the van to put the bikes onto, meaning that we can lower this base. So why are we not going to go 1 metre high? One is, I just don't think I need the height for storing stuff. Putting bikes aside, everything else is going to be much lower than that, and you know, it just eats into a hell of a lot of space. Second point being, this is obviously 1 metre up for the bed frame. Then when you've got a mattress on top, your head isn't actually very far from the ceiling of the van. Bearing in mind this is a high top van, this is the highest that Ford do anyway. You certainly couldn't sit up in the bed. It just wasn't practical. And at the moment as well, because I haven't got the fans in there yet, in fact you'll see that even some of the ceiling insulation is coming down because it's been so hot lately on the van. So I need to re-stick that down before I put the final ceiling covering in. But yeah, we're out the fan in there as well, and all the heat rising to the top. It was just like a sweat box. So we will be getting the fan in very soon. But first things first is I need to take all this down again, as was always planned. I was going to strip it down again, but I'm not going to do the full conversion on that yet. I'm going to strip it down But we have got another trip organised in the next few days, so I may again build another temporary bed, probably half the height, maybe about 50 centimetres high. Just check out whether that's going to work with the power units and stuff that we want to put in there, that the height's going to give us enough clearance. Yeah, and then give that one a try and see what we think about half height. So I think the best thing I've learned from this experience so far is, if you are in this situation that we're luckily in, that you're able to do temporary builds, try things out, give them a go in real, and then come back and adjust and modify them before you do the full build, the final build. Definitely worth a go. Definitely worth a go. Because I tell you now, initially, from information I was told, this is how the bed would have ended up being. It would have been full length going that way, not across, and it would have been 1 metre high. Whereas likely it's going to be only half a metre high, and well, I think we're actually going to sleep crossways now. Because also what I didn't think, and you wouldn't think it makes a lot of difference, but it does. So when I initially tested the floor and I laid across the floor, and I was like, okay, so my head is hitting the side of the van and my feet are flat against the wall. So, I was just in there, but I was rubbing against the wall. And I just thought, that's not going to work. It's not going to be comfy. But then when we got on the bed, and obviously I had pillows, so you're raised a little bit as well. You're not away from the wall much, but you are enough so that there's a clearance. So because you're slightly sat up in bed, I don't like to be set up high, but I like to have 2 pillows behind me, and that was enough to raise me up to feel that actually, yeah, I can lay across this way, which is going to give us quite a bit more length and space back in the van again. So yeah, so the plan for today is not the full conversion, but to show you what I'm doing to try out these little ideas and little things as we go along. And yeah, that's the next step of the conversion, really, trial and error. So let's crack on. I'll see you soon, guys. Hi guys, right, it is the next day for me. Real life got a little hectic the second half of the day yesterday, so we have a few hours until we are due to be on the road, and we still have no bed for the night. But a couple of little updates which I'll show you in the video in a minute, but basically a couple of changes to the bed. As I discussed, I was going to be lowering the height. It does seem that 50mm at the moment, until we test it out, seems to be the sweet spot. And also because we've, hello mate, you right? Where was I? That's the only issue with filming yourself out on the street, is obviously you're out in the street. Yeah, so we've changing the bed around, so instead of deciding to sleep lengthways with the length of the van and going back to the traditional idea of sleeping across the width of the van, it means that the legs that were originally set for the frame before are going to be different because they went further down the van before. So yes, I pulled one of the original far leg back closer, and there's going to be actually a third leg on each side. So instead of having just each corner supported, there's going to be 3 down one side, 3 across the other end, because I did notice that with the temporary support that I put in the middle of the bed underneath, it actually needed to be there because there just wasn't enough support in the middle of the bed. So hopefully having these 6 legs will be a lot more supportive. Going forward, when I make the permanent bed, I'm going to be using the IKEA hack, where they use the IKEA bed support beam. So it will have 3 going across again, but it'll be metal rather than wood, so it'll be even more supported. Absolutely plenty of support and strength for what we're going to need. let me show you what's going on with the legs. So this is basically how the layout's going to work with this bed version. So the two original corners, one that was one there, one that was all the way down this end with the original length of the bed. I've now brought this further forward, and a third leg, which I won't need a corner bracket for now because it's going to sit on top of the wheel arch, will be now at the furthest point for the bed. One slight nibble that I've got now is that I was going to get just a standard double IKEA mattress, and the standard double IKEA mattress is 135 by 190 centimeters. Well, unfortunately now it looks like I'm going to have about 170 centimeters to go across, so that could be a little bit of a problem. I don't know if I'm going to be able to squeeze the mattress in 20 centimeters or 200 mil and it not be an issue, and I don't know if I can get one the right size. I need to have a look. Anybody has any suggestions? Comments please guys, would be much appreciated, because I've only just realised that the standard figures, oh I have left and right, the standard figures don't work. Oh yeah, that is more like it. Right, final bit now is the boards. We're going to want trimming down because they were obviously a lot longer before. Shorten their length, and we have our next bed. There's just so much more room inside the van here. We were in it recently. Now I did have a roll of carpet down this side, but because the bed was up here as well, so this whole space just seemed void now. You know, there was no room. There was a bed up here, there was a space underneath that we weren't really doing anything with. It's high enough to for fit any of the electrical and power appliances that I want in there. So yeah, it's just so much more roomy. So yeah, I definitely think for us in our situation, not being able to just afford to build it all outright straight away, the fact that we are doing it bit by bit and we can experiment and try things, we are learning lots, and we're learning things that we didn't even know were questions, and we're finding answers to them. So yeah, anybody is thinking about doing it on the go, I would give it a go. It's not easy, and obviously you have to keep putting things up and putting things down if you want to use it constantly while converting. But yeah, it's a good way of finding out exactly what you do want and what you don't really need. How much time do you think you're going to spend in your van using certain items?